Hey, it's Erin. I have an awesome shoulder workout for you today. I've had a ton of comments from people saying they can't seem to grow great delts. And I think this is for a couple of different reasons. The first reason is that the traps have a tendency of taking over in a lot of the exercises. And the second reason is that when you start to fatigue, there is a tendency for other fresher muscle groups to take over. So for example, the chest will take over in shoulder press, or the lats will take over during reverse flies. What we've done here is we're gonna kind of override the system, utilizing different training techniques and different angles. So these are exercises that will be familiar to you, but they'll be done in a way that will allow you to get the best results. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing and don't forget to click that little bell. You'll be the first to know whenever a new video comes out. And if you want more workouts, if you want something a little bit more customized, I do have an app available so you can take me to the gym with you and we can train together. I'll leave a link in the description below. Without further ado, let's get to this workout. Before we go heavy, let's warm up a bit. I'm gonna do 2 sets of 20 Cuban presses. So here, just using the 20-pound easy bar, the motion is upright row, external rotation, press, and then reverse the motion on the way back down. This is great for warming up those rotator cuffs, for increasing circulation, for improving flexibility, getting that central nervous system fired up, and just generally getting you ready to lift. The first exercise is a bit unconventional. I'm over here on the hammer strength incline chest press, and I'm doing shoulder press. Starting with the left side, which is my weaker side, I want to see how many reps I'm able to do on this left side. The goal here is 5 sets of 8. So I've rotated my shoulder blade back and down. Elbow is about in line with the ear. Wrist is nice and straight, and I'm standing evenly on both legs. So not using momentum at all here, making sure that upper arm gets to about parallel, even a bit below. Now when I switch sides, I'm going to make sure everything is exactly the same when I switch to the right side. The reason for this is you want to train for symmetry and aesthetics. You want to be sure that each rep is mirroring each side. So you want to be sure that the elbow is in line with the ear, the wrist is nice and straight, the shoulder is rotated back and down on both sides, and this will guarantee that your left side will line up with your right side. So here, upper arm gets to a little bit below parallel, and by rotating the shoulder blade back and down, keeps the traps out of the equation. So I thought I could do a bit more weight. So I've loaded a 10-pound plate on each side, and I'm using proper pressing form. Now, a lot of muscle growth is made on the negative portion of the rep, or the eccentric portion of the rep. So don't be afraid to force some reps at the end of the set. So here I'm at about max effort, and I'm really controlling that negative. Self-spotting, getting that weight back up to the top and controlling the negative. So you can get 2 or 3 more extra reps here. And that 5 sets of 8, it is going to be brutal. It's a guaranteed way to get sore, but it's a guaranteed way to create muscle growth. So that negative portion is where all the muscle growth, I wouldn't say all, but a lot of the muscle changes are made. If you're looking to gain muscle, focus on slowing down that negative portion. It causes micro tears, which is what you want, and these micro tears are going to repair themselves stronger and bigger than they were before. So again, using my non-working arm to spot myself to get it back up so I can force a couple other negatives in. We're working on angles today too. So by setting up the bench at about a, let's say 75-degree angle and leaning against it, you're able to take your traps out of the equation. Now, a lot of times when you're doing lateral raises, traps are hard to control, and a lot of people will lift the traps before they do the raise. So an effective cue would be to think about pushing the weight away from you, or to think about even somebody coming up to you and you push them away. You can see I'm kind of perched on the seat here, and I found that it was burning out my legs a little bit more than I wanted. So the next couple of sets I'll be working on just kneeling, so I don't have to focus on squatting so much. If you're trying to build shoulders, your two basic exercises you really want to focus on are your military press, your shoulder press, and your lateral raises. These two exercises are fantastic for shoulder growth. Now here, pinkies up slightly, elbows up. Don't let the elbow drop, because as soon as the elbow drops, the bicep wants to take over. So think about leading with the pinky, keeping the elbow up, pushing that weight away. And I'm doing 4 sets of 10 here. And you can see it gets very difficult towards the end, which is exactly what you want. Okay, we're gonna sneak some other tempo moves in here. We're gonna be doing some isometric holds with a neutral grip shoulder press. So I'm alternating, and instead of leaving my arms up and taking the tension off the shoulders, I'm pausing in that mid-rep motion. And what that's going to do is heavily tax the shoulders, which is what we want. We want those shoulders to grow. So the weight is 25 pounds here, not going crazy heavy. And the goal is 8 reps per side. So 4 sets of 8. Make sure you're controlling that range of motion. Make sure you're not letting your arms drop too low and taking that tension off the muscles. And use your mirrors. Make sure your dumbbells are lined up perfectly. So you can see periodically I'll glance from left to right and just make sure in my peripheral vision that those dumbbells are even. We want a perfect press. We want the left side to mirror the right side throughout the exercise, and especially when we start to fatigue. So here, really focus. Moving on to the first of the supersets. This is an easy bar upright row on an incline bench, and we'll follow it up with an easy bar front raise. Now, I love this variation for a couple of reasons. The incline bench really helps eliminate momentum. It also puts you at a great angle to where you can hit the medial delts and the rear delts. So the goal here is to kind of round out those shoulders. The wide grip is going to eliminate a lot of the stress that you might feel from traditional upright rows. It's not going to hurt the wrists. It's not going to hurt the shoulders like that narrow grip upright row will. So when you're pulling, think about keeping your traps nice and still. So quiet those traps. Think about pulling through the elbows and keeping your wrists straight. Now what I'm gonna do is drop this easy bar and grab a much lighter one because you don't need that much weight on the front raises. I'm gonna get into the same position, 4 sets of 10 for both exercises. Here I'm using a wide grip, overhand grip, and I'm keeping my chest somewhat up, but also looking down. And what this angle is going to do is it's going to help keep the traps out of the equation. So the goal here is to just work the front delts and a little bit of those side delts. 10 reps is tough, especially after those upright rows, because we're really starting to fatigue here, and that's okay. These last few reps really count. Try not to swing the weight. Try to control the weight with your front and side delts. Keep your wrists straight. Keep your elbows up. And try not to spend a lot of time at the bottom. You don't have any tension when your arm is perpendicular to the ground. So the goal is to keep constant tension on the muscle. And try not to bounce. I'm bouncing a little bit here. It's getting tough, and that's the last rep. Our last superset is one of my favorites. This is going to be a cable reverse fly followed by a face pull. Now here, you want to set those cables to about chin height, and then you'll grab the opposite cable with your opposite arm. So you create a cross in front of you and use an overhand grip. Keep your elbows up and keep your arms about perpendicular to the ground. Now, by keeping your arms up, you're really going to hit rear delts. You'll hit a little teres, but you will not hit your lats. As soon as you start to fatigue, there's a tendency to drop your arms And as soon as you let those arms drop below, I would say upper chest height, then it's almost entirely lats. And your lats are a huge muscle, so they're going to want to take over. Keep your arms up. And what we're going to do is just put this rope attachment on, pop a little bit more weight on there, feet shoulder width apart, overhand grip, elbows up, and I'm pulling the rope to about eye height. Getting that full extension, so I'm getting that full stretch at the bottom, doing a bit of a scapular retraction, and what this is going to do is I feel it really engages those rear delts. So this is kind of a double whammy for the rear delts. I'm going to be doing 4 sets of 10 here with about a minute recovery in between supersets. Now, because this is a freestanding exercise, be sure you're not using momentum. So keep your body still, use just your rear delts to pull. Do not use the rest of your body, do not bounce. And try to keep that rope nice and high. Pull all the way through and keep constant tension. And get that full stretch. By focusing on your shoulder press and your lateral raise as your main 2 exercises, and by doing them a little bit differently than maybe you have done them in the past, you'll be able to see really great results. Try this workout, let me know what you think. Tag me on social media. I love seeing your progress. Thanks for watching. Until next time, train hard, y'all.